Welcome to the Success Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Christian Evans. This podcast is about helping improve your relationship with diet and exercise to achieve success in your fitness journey. In today's show, we have our special guest, Javier Hernandez. Javier is a happily married father of two from Tempe, Arizona. Javier has lost over 160 pounds after weighing in over 320 pounds. Growing up in a single parent home of 10 siblings, he's seen his share of poverty. Overcoming the passings of his siblings and homelessness, Javier currently holds three jobs to set an example for his family. His mission is to help folks here he can where they are in their relationship. You can follow Javier on IG at Javier_get_beastie. Success Fitness family, please welcome Javier Hernandez. What's going on, Javier? Thank you for being on the Success Fitness podcast.
Well, thank you very much for having me. As I always like to say, hola, hola, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. I've been following Javier on IG for a few months now, and his weight loss transformation actually sparked this interview right here. So, as we stated in the intro, Javier has lost over 160 pounds, which is amazing. This is why I wanted to highlight the man. So, what inspired you to lose weight or to go on your weight loss journey? And how much did you weigh in when you started? And what was the total amount that you lost in what time period?
Well, I grew up, I have a big appetite. So I was always the fat kid in the family. Everybody was always thin and I was the gordito, the chunky one. And I hated being fat. But, when you don't really have a lot of options of food, being a Latino family, obviously the food ain't that healthy and whatnot. Um, so I really hated it. It led to a lot of depression too. I ended up, what really sparked it was actually a breakup. I was with the girl. I left home at 17. I was with the girl, getting technically cheated on me. And it's just like, you know what? I knew I was messed up. I was already to a point where I'm like, I don't like what I look like in the mirror. I don't like how I feel. There was even thoughts of, what, why am I even here? Life is just too much, and I was already distant from my family because unfortunately around that time, I was 24 and, my family was going through a former loss of one of my siblings. I had five brothers. I technically only have one more left, who's in prison. And then I had four sisters. Technically I only have one left. So it's
Condolences.
been, yeah, I have no idea how my mom did it, to be honest. Never had a dad, so trying to be that father figure now. But back then, when they were dealing with a lot of grief and drugs were a big thing for them, not for me, but for them. Which and then reason why I left. So I was basically my fire. My heart was hurting, and I'm like, you know what, I need to fix it. So I said, I need to fix me. I need to get myself in this. Say F it. I gotta do this. So at 24, 325 pounds, I was like, this gotta stop. So I ended up just taking I ended up basically getting rid of all the things that I had loved pie, got rid of all those sweets, got rid of tortillas, even though I love them. Now there's low carb tortillas. Back then there wasn't. So, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm barely struggling to keep a roof over my head. So I would sneak into apartment complexes that had gyms because I couldn't afford a membership. So I would pretend I lived there and worked out in their facilities, um, to try to get you do. It was crazy. But I would lift weights every day. I would just walk everywhere because instead of using the car, I'd be like, I'm just gonna force myself to walk. And then I was like, all right, you know what? I don't want to be skinny. I want to be built. I want to be strong. So I'm like, lifting weights, common sense. I need to lift weights. I need protein. I need to get rid of all the junk and just go. Um, so every single day I would sneak in and work out, and then go to work. That was my life. Just work on me, go to work. Um, and then I ended up losing an average of 12 pounds per month. My first year, I lost 120 pounds in 1 year, which was funny because the doctor, when I go see him, they're like, "Hey, that's not healthy." I'm like, "Well, I'm not healthy being overweight, But then if I'm losing weight, that's not healthy. And I get it, but I'm like, I'm screwed either way.
Right. It's always the
Might as well-
caveat in that type of situation to where it's you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, according to them. So
right.
it's like you almost feel like if they didn't tell you to do it initially, and then when you do it on your own, it's like they kind of have an issue with it. And it's like, well, I didn't tell you to lose weight, but it's like, but I am. But it may not be under the guise or the direct instructions of you. But now that, like you said, I'm 120 pounds lighter, now there's
Mhm.
an issue. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying. Keep going. Mhm.
Yeah. Like the way my thought process was like when I first started out, I'm like, maybe if I can just get under 300, I'll feel better. And I hit 300. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can break 300. You know, and then when I got to 300, I broke it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I still don't like it. Maybe if I get to 250, and I kept pushing myself. Not a lot of where like, not like these days where people are like, I need to lose 100 pounds. Me, I just wanted to just try. I didn't want to make my expectations so unrealistic, even though I was desperate. Like, no joke. I don't know, like for meth, people on meth, they would lose a lot of weight, right? I was even to the verge where maybe if I do that, I was desperate. I hated being big. Um, to where I was even about to do that. I'm like, no, I seen what it did to my family. I don't want to be that. I don't want to end up like that. And so like dealing with my own demons, dealing with all the things that I've already dealt with. I'm like, this is the hard part for me. Why? Why is this hard? You know, when growing up, fighting and gangs and all that stuff, that stuff was hard. This is getting easy. So every marker I hit, it made me feel better. Buying clothes, I'll buy like a certain size of clothes and be like, I'm gonna try to fit into that by next month or 2 months from now. And I would just make little steps. And then when I lost 120 pounds, it was crazy because I ended up being able to afford a gym, right? And people, you see this big guy, they're like, oh, maybe he's a New Year's baby, where they just stop after a couple months. And no, you'd be surprised how many people keep an eye on you in the gym. So after a while, they started seeing me get down, and they're like seeing the muscle and they're seeing the strength, and they're like, oh my God. One guy came up, he goes, beastie. He's like, you know what? I like that. So every time he come and he see me, he was there. That didn't make sense. And then they got into my head thinking, hey man, you probably do a show. This is back in 2011. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I could. I mean, I had a lot of loose skin, which nobody warned me about. And they don't talk about that in social
Right.
media.
Nobody really warned you. That's the after effect of dropping
Mhm.
weight, and especially when you drop fast. But you had included weights, into your training. So I guarantee that helped. Kind of like reduce it from that standpoint, as opposed to people who just dropped weight and then now they're just, they're just walking with so much skin. So I bet that helped.
Oh yeah, definitely. People will look at me and they're like, man, you had loose skin. I'm like, yeah, well, I filled it with muscle. There's a lot of muscle there. And I definitely recommend that for people. It's like, hey, if you ever have a problem, that's a good one. But so what ended happened was, as I was starting to train for it, I started dieting, started learning how to do the competition. Competitors did dieting. Maybe I can do physique to try it out. And I had a goal in mind. I'm like, all right, loose skin or whatever, it's fine. I'm gonna go for it anyways. And I got really lean. This was the first time I ever got lean. I was at 168, 169 at that time. And I was like, man, I took pictures. I'm like, I look pretty damn good for being this. And I was like a week away from stepping on stage. And then I got the call that my eldest brother passed away. He had died being chased by the cops, and supposedly he ran into a tree. And and unfortunately, like I said, I come from a poverty background. My mom didn't have the funds for it, so I had to pay for his cremation, which took everything I had, put me in debt for a minute. But then I was so depressed that I turned to alcohol and junk food, and I went from that 169 to 250 in like a month and a half. The rebound diet. So for anybody who does a competition, there's a thing called rebounding, where like if you get so severely lean, and if you don't know how to do a reverse diet, you'll blow up. I blew up. And then I came to my senses around that time. It was March of 2011. I came to my senses where like I need to get back. I need to fix this. This is not healthy. This is not good. My depression sank back in. I'm like, I just lost another brother. Man, come on. It was just me, me, my mom, my little brother. Being a dad now, like I said, I don't know how she did it. I would flip the heck out. So I ended up going back to the gym again every day. I'm like, I gotta fix this. I gotta fix this. I started losing weight. Same thing as before. Baby steps. No alcohol. Cut the alcohol out. Get my meals back in order. Cut back the junk and bring it back. Got back down. And then they were going. I saved money to get a tummy tuck. And this was in 2013. Yes, 2013. I said, I'm gonna do a show. I'm gonna do this physique show. And I got the tummy tuck done in November of 2013. And then my wife was pregnant with my first son. Okay, Kikawa. And so I'm like, all right, I got cleared to lift in December, which I was dieting as I was trying to recover. Which, by the way, I'll never diet through the holidays again.
Yeah, that's always tough.
Horrible.
You're trying to be the tough one through it all. That's one of the most toughest things to do, and especially just during that whole time. The passing of your brother. Condolences for that. And then of course you're dealing with one day you look up in the mirror, you're like, man, I was down. I was so lean, but now look. But then it's like, all right, got to snap yourself back, which you did, and then boom, your wife is now pregnant with your first son.
Yep. And then I got cleared to lift. I started training for the show, which was in March of 2014. But then it was crazy because it was like some people were like, "You really gonna do it?" I'm like, I'm gonna do it, man. I give my word. If I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And how stubborn I can be, and I guess that's gonna be the word I want to use. Stubborn, is because by February is when my son was born, and my wife had a C-section. So I was literally going from work, gym, hospital, while training for a competition. And I stepped on stage. I actually succeeded in stepping on stage for physique at 164, 165 for physique. And it was good. I just wanted to get my feet wet. This time I reverse dieted and whatnot. And later on that year, I ended up getting laid off from my job. It was my major source of income, because I said I want to do another show for bodybuilding this time. I'm not built for physique. You got to have a certain frame, and I'm not built that way. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try bodybuilding. And as I was training for that, I got let go from my job and kind of put a damper on things. So I ended up doing side work, selling my stuff. I'm like, I'm still gonna step on stage. I know it was crazy, but I'm still gonna step on stage. And I did. I ended up succeeding at my lowest weight, leanest. This is the leanest I've ever been. I was at 163. At like 4 or 5% body fat.
Oh my goodness.
And I stepped on stage, did my routine. I felt very accomplished. I placed a lot better than I did in the physique show. I had a lot more fun, and I just, my son got to see me. He was all happy about it. A little baby, it's like, hey, I'm a dad now. I've lost a lot of people in my life, but I'm a dad. I'm gonna be the dad I needed to them. And like, although right now tough times, the whole COVID and all that fun stuff, I still managed to keep my workouts in. Even when the gyms closed, we went for walks. Me and the kids would work out in the front yard and have some fun. And like now I just work on trying to show them, hey, educate them more on food. But it's been a crazy few years. I'll tell you what.
Man, that is a very compelling story. And again, condolences to the passing of your brother. That is, I can't even imagine going through that. I have like 4 brothers, and we have our ups and downs, but that's one thing that hopefully nobody wished that upon their siblings, but just having to go through that. And so just with all that, you still managed to persevere, still managed to end up losing weight after you gain weight, and then end up gaining a new life, your son, and then still managed to go on stage and still finish what you started. You set a goal out to get on stage, and what you did, just for the mere fact of starting from where you were, at 320 to being on stage. So salute to you. During that time, what was your workout routine and what did your nutrition look like?
Mm, okay. So for nutrition wise, what I've learned, like as the major thing I've learned is you got to learn your body. So I would document everything I was eating for like 2 weeks, and then I would change it up. So like 1 week I'd go with oatmeal, egg whites, steak in the morning. Lunch would be like white fish or chicken with some sweet potatoes. Um, Snack would be a protein shake, some fruit before my workouts. Normally it's something light, so it doesn't really upset my stomach, but I have enough fuel in my system. My dinner would probably be my biggest meal of the day, where I'd either have like a decent amount of chicken or some white fish, and then like a lot of veggies and some avocado or something to help my stomach go to sleep a little easier. Um, and then I would change it up. So like 1 week, 2 weeks I'll go with like sweet potatoes. 2 weeks I'll go with like white rice. See which way my body liked more. Um, Adjusting from there. So like depending on how lean I want to get, that for like the shows, I do like something like that, and then carb cycle. So like on the weekends, I would enjoy time with my wife. We'll go out to dinner, eat something a little higher in carbs and something not of boringness. And then just keep it simple towards more balanced, not so much so restrictive. And then for my training, um, I took a lot of time to develop. Not, yeah, I guess you could say they're advanced lifting techniques where like drop sets, supersets, time under tension sets. And so my workout resistance was a lot of weight based, where I would do a major group with a minor group, such as like chest and triceps. One day, next day I'll do back and biceps. Third day I'll do primarily more hamstring than quads for leg day, and then I'll do like and core. And then the day after that, I do more like isolated biceps, triceps, and shoulders. Give myself a rest day, which is I'll go just do cardio, so maybe some more abs. Um, and then I'll do that for a while, and then I'll do I forgot the technical term for it, but there's another technique where you'll do like they call it the push pull leg method. So you'll do those days and then an off day, and then you cycle. And I'll do that for like about 2-3 months to see which way my body liked. I'll try to my food will be increased a bit, trying to gain size or muscle, and see how I want my body to shape. Bring up some weaker areas. Normally, my workouts will revolve around bringing up my weaker areas and not worrying about like if I'm chest dominant. If I have a really big chest, then why am I going to worry about it? And that's where like if I want my legs to develop better, do it smart. And I try to be safe more times than not. Like I rather grow stronger slower, and do workouts that are less prone to injury. Like I always think about the risk versus reward.
Right. Now, during that time, did you have a personal trainer showing you all the stuff, or you just pretty much just self-taught, self-research, and trial and error?
Yeah. I was self-taught, self-research, a lot of trial and errors. I would actually speak with a lot of the veterans in the gyms. Instead of the young guys, I'm like,
The old heads always have the best information. They have the best
right.
information. Going back to what you just talked about, safety, right?
Mhm.
Some of the best information that I've learned in this is from older heads, from not locking out all the way in your bench press, and the whys behind it. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Um, even from using the Smith machine, which is like,
Yep.
it's kind of one of those things to where like, oh, this is not real, man. 90%, you can just go on YouTube right now. 90% of the guys who got the physiques that we all, trying to model after, they'll tell you in a heartbeat, you better get to that Smith machine. You know what I mean? Just far as for like the purpose of sculpting, especially, that's what
Yep.
you were going into. But yeah, man, I know exactly what you're talking about with the old heads.
Yep. I learned a lot of that, and I always say, watch your shoulders. Don't do this exercise. Don't do that exercise. Like, ew.
Yeah,
I'd rather be doing
you
this for
definitely have
others.
to listen to them, especially when it comes to I would say like deadlifting. And I think that's kind of
Mhm.
like the thing now, which we're on social media, it's like everybody's trying to prove how much they can lift off the ground. but you know, you gotta listen to somebody who's actually lived life, and when they tell you about just their lower back in general, whether the deadlift has something to do with it or not, they're just talking about just some things just honestly just take a tax on the human frame, and you have to figure out like, what do you really want to invest your time in? You know what I mean? Do I want to invest my time to, you know, prove something to myself or prove something to somebody on social media, or do I just want to, you know, am I training smarter for longevity?
Yep. That's where I'm at. I'm like, I got kids. Eventually, my boys are gonna be like, I can take you, Dad. I'm like, no, I'm 80. I'll still put you over my knee.
Exactly. So during that time, what did you learn about yourself during that transformation phase? What did you like? Anything that like any pluses, any minuses, like in far as like endurance wise? Because when you're going through that phase, you tend to unlock something that you probably really weren't prepared for, or taking a small piece of yourself and it ends up expanding to something more than even what you thought.
Well, I mean, I've actually on the bad side, I've learned that you'll lose friends. Especially you'll lose friends because they'll be like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "I'm gonna go to the gym." But like, "Well, we're gonna go do this." I'll go for it, man. It's cool. They're like, and they stop inviting you, and and it's like now if I have time, it's like I'd rather spend time with my family than do anything. It's like, hey, I'd rather give my boys my time, my wife my time, than to go do something dumb. Because eventually my kids are gonna grow. It's already bad enough. I miss a lot of their time as it is. And I learned that you'll lose friends, but you'll gain new ones too. People that are a little bit more supportive. You know, I've also learned that like the fitness industry right now is totally messed up. I mean, it's hard. It's so bad, and it sucks because I wish I knew this kind of stuff going in. As I've learned now, and it's like, man, it's so much BS that's why people fail more often. You know, the plus side is I realized my discipline is very strong. I didn't think it would be that difficult, but nowadays things are a lot easier. Like I said, I had to give up. I can honestly say I haven't eaten pie, which is my favorite dessert, since the holidays. And normally I would have pie like every other week. But lately I've just, I don't really crave a lot of things I used to, like fried foods, greasy foods. I don't really do it often anymore. But like now you got low carb tortillas, you got low carb breads, which I'm not saying carbs are bad. It's just, you got things that make eating healthier a lot easier. Where it's no longer, you're not really eating, well, how can I put it? You're not really eating bad, but you're eating more efficiently, and to me, I prefer it like that. Like I couldn't, my energy, the way I live is it's a lot more balanced now versus back then. It was a lot of chaos, a lot of hectic, trying to figure things out, thinking if it works. Now that I know that my discipline's there, my mind's a lot more clear, my life is a little bit more simpler, hard but simpler. Um, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying in that regard. As far as for me, during my weight loss transformation, I was doing a lot of fresh pressed juices and everything, but I had to do them myself. Go to the store, buy the produce, cut the produce, juice the produce, clean the produce, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff, right? And that took time, you know what I mean? But now it's like you can just go into the store right now and you got 32 ounces of fresh pressed juice, right there, which is cool. But it kind of goes to I guess we're becoming those old guys like, oh, back in my day, we had to walk 10 miles to school. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I think like everybody's gonna have that, every generation is gonna have that, but it just makes you appreciate, you like what you had to endure, right? Because man, what if they would have had low carb tortillas back then, instead of eating one, which you would have eaten 10 just for the mere fact that you knew it was low carb, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, I might as well would have ate there's two regular ones, you know what I mean? So it's just like
yeah,
you needed that certain cutoff or certain breaks because there's certain things that I know I just cannot have, period, or else
yeah.
I just go, full bore with it. So what is your current diet and workout regimen look like today?
Right now, I'm about to start a cut because right now I'm at the leanest. Well, all right, let me rephrase that. for people who don't understand how like muscles can really help you, and body composition is a thing where like I've been 200 pounds before, but I've never been lean 200. So like as I put on some good muscle, I'm a lot leaner at 200 than when the last time I weighed 200. So now I'm gonna try to go on vacation in the next 7 weeks, my first ever vacation, like an actual one. And because we were gonna try last year and that didn't work out very well. So I'm gonna go for a 7 week cut, nothing drastic, maybe just try to cut like 10 pounds, you know, to see where I am because I want to enjoy my vacation, like all the good stuff. So what I'm gonna have is I'm gonna go back to basics. You know, I got my sweet potatoes, I got my white fishes, my chicken, my steaks, my eggs. I got my green beans. I don't. People do broccoli. Broccoli is cool, but I don't like the bloatness from it.
Yeah,
So I always.
broccoli. It's yeah, like you said, the bloatness and the
Mhm.
gas and all that good
Yep.
stuff comes from it.
No, I'll go get the asparagus and the spinach and stuff like that. But like, just load up on a lot of veggies. You know, my snacking habits. I like to get. I like to make it to where my meals. I usually eat about 6 meals a day. Um, Two of them are like more around my workout, so they're my protein shake and my fruit, post workout shake, and the rest are my full meals. You know, so this way, like it's not so bad. Oh, by the way, like if people who don't have protein powders or whatnot, like Fairlight has a really good milk now that can supplement or help people get protein in a lot easier. Um, with very low lactose, they like strip the lactose out of it, so it's a lot easier. Um, so my meals, I'm gonna go back to my basics of that, where I weigh about 200 pounds, so I'm gonna consume about 220 grams in protein per day to try to preserve my muscle because again I'm not building it, so I want to be able to preserve it. Still training wise for my routine, my volume of lifting is going to increase where like I'm going to do not so much isolated workouts anymore but more compound movements, and I'm going to try to keep my volume high, my higher reps where the weight's still very challenging. A lot of drop sets. A lot of drop sets. Those are brutal, but they're going to help keep the muscle there that I want as I start to trim the body fat. Right now, I do an average about 40 minutes of cardio per day because I'm a wide guy. It's really easy for me to gain fat um, for my body type. So I'm just probably up it to where I'll probably do up it to an hour a day because I mean it's only like a 30 minutes here and 30 minutes there. For some people who have a hard time doing it, just do 3 10-minute walks. You know, there you go, 30 minutes. Um, so I'm gonna start doing that for my routine and my dieting. And normally right now I'd have 2 cheat meals a day or a week. I'm gonna drop that down to one, to where I can still have my fun with my family, and then be on track. You know, stay in a slight deficit. I don't want to be in a big
I
one
got
because
you. I got you. I
you know.
got you. Do you as far as you mentioned heavy reps, uh, um, high volume. What do you
Mhm.
consider high volume far as reps? Like where do you peak out
Oh,
at, and
um,
where's your top and where's your bottom as far as
right now
reps go?
when I go for heavy as a building weight, I usually go for like a rep of a heavy rep. See, I was benching 325, so I'll do that for like 3 reps. Um, but like now I'm like, all right, so that's just to gain size. For now, I'm gonna start doing reps of 20. So like an incline Smith machine, I'll do an incline Smith of 20 reps, nothing, probably like a plate in 25 or something, just enough to get the volume, the pump in my chest, and really make. Because after each set, I'll do about five sets of 20. So that's about what 100
That's
reps?
100.
No,
And 5 and
yeah.
20.
So I'll
Yep.
do about. Yep. So something along that range, where like that's enough to beat that chest up enough.
Oh yeah,
You know, once
most definitely, most definitely. Yeah, those high volume sets can really do you good. I'm just used to a high volume far as programming, and right now I'm trying to not so much reduce it, but like I don't have to do all of that, which meaning like I'm somebody who's used to like what you just said, four sets of 25 or 5 of 20, right?
yep.
So now I'm trying to do, a pyramid set, 12, 10, 8, and then back to 10, and then back to 12. Now
Oh, it is.
that's
It's
a
like
that's a that that's a challenge in itself because I have to not program my mind where the other way you can pyramid. You can pyramid two different ways.
Right.
Like that's your standard pyramid, but if I do 12, 10, 8, then 8, 10, 12, you know what I mean? So reducing that one set does make a difference in the long run of
Yeah.
your entire workout. So what would you say to those, or what advice would you give those who are hesitant about starting their weight loss journey?
Oh, KISS. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. I mean, there there's a like I said, the fitness industry puts out so much craziness. It drives me nuts. Like so many fad diets, so many. Just keep it simple. Start basics. If you're depending on how heavy you are, um, be aware of the issues that could happen that you're not paying attention to. If you're deficit in certain nutrients, keep your foods wholesome. You know, if you have a snacking problem, um, there's always ways of having simple snacks like homemade popcorn without the butter, but you can use a butter spray. Put in some Splenda sea salt, boom, you got kettle corn. You know, but keep it simple. Don't try to be like I need to lose 100 pounds in 3 months. I got to do 2 hours of cardio. I got to go keto. And no offense to the keto folks, it's just nobody ever stays on keto. Nobody. They'll break one after a few months and they'll think that's the secret diet. No, I'm sorry. When you eliminate a whole group of food, you're gonna have issues. Why? I mean, for that reason, there's so many supplements you have to take. It's because you took out that whole group. And it's like, no, just reduce, just reduce your fat intake, increase your protein intake. That would be step one. Two, just get a little bit more active than you are now. If you're not doing any walking, just start walking. If you're afraid to go in the gym because of people not know looking at you or judging you, I can promise you this. Most of them don't even know what they're doing. Okay. They can't judge you, but who knows? You might inspire them. You being in there just trying, people would look at me, they're like, oh man, you're here almost every day. If I am, that means you are too, right? There you go. So don't overthink it. There is no secrets. Just move more. Just monitor what you eat. And in best case, I would say keep a journal. Write it down. Write it down. Take a picture of yourself, and be like, look, I should have taken more pictures. I gotta be honest. I should have taken more pictures. I hated taking pictures, but I should have, because people were like, no man, that's crazy. You were that huge. But you'd be surprised how people, want you to win. But just keep it simple. You don't stress all. You don't need special supplements either. Start with food. Food is key, and then start just moving. And then when you go to the gym, do ask for a trainer. If you're not really sure on how to research, and because of all the things that they got on YouTube and stuff now, unfortunately, it's a hit or miss. Again, things I wish I learned back then. Um, don't be afraid to ask a trainer. Ask for advice, or like I said, go ask a veteran in there. See somebody that actually looks like they know what they're doing, and then don't be afraid to ask for help. A little help here and there can save your body, your knees, your back, in the long run. So
Well,
yeah,
you
that's
heard the man right there said, keep it simple and basically keep it moving. I hope you found inspiration in today's episode with our guest, Javier Hernandez. Please, Javier, let everybody know where they can follow you at, where they can book you for one-on-one personal training, your Instagram, Twitter, websites. Go ahead.
you can find me on Facebook, Javier Get Beastie Hernandez. You can find me on Instagram at Javier underscore Get Beastie. And it's Beasty for those who think it's IE or something. But yeah, feel free to message me anytime. I usually help where I can, even if it's just simple things as if you don't know where to start with your food, or normally when I coach my clients and stuff like that, I even help you figure out recipes. Things that make life a lot easier. It's really not as bland as people make it out to be.
All righty, all righty. So once again, want to thank Mr. Javier Hernandez for showing up and showing out on the Success Fitness Podcast. Thank you for subscribing to the Success Fitness Podcast. And until the next episode. Success fitness is the mindset, and always, always, always remember, success is golden. Hashtag more weight. Peace out. Are you looking for a personal trainer that will focus on you to help achieve success in your fitness journey? If yes, please book your in-person or Zoom one-on-one personal training sessions with me, Christian Evans, at christiansweightsuccess.net.